That's right, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody in between. Welcome one and all to the SYN Shop live stream. Now, on tonight's show, we have Joe. Who is Joe, you may ask? Well, I'll tell you. Joe, he's the guy that makes the junk mail that you don't want to throw away. So that's who we're going to be talking with here in just two shakes of a lamb's tail. But before we get to that, first an announcement on the shop. Now, the SYN Shop is a maker hackerspace located in Las Vegas, Nevada, and we offer the tools and equipment that you can use to make pretty much whatever you can think of. Now, we're officially closed for renovation, but we do have some members who are holding the shop open for limited use. So, if you're in the Vegas area and you'd like to help us get back in action, or just stop by and check out the shop, you can join our Discord and find out all that and much, much more. To join our Discord, you can hit up synshop.org/Discord to find the latest information on the shop. And to make sure you're notified of future events, including virtual ones just like this one, you can join us at meetup.com/SYNshop. And with that, so tell us a little bit about yourself. Now, I mentioned earlier you used to work for an interesting company. What did that company do?
Well, I used to work for MGM Resorts. So they, largest employer in Nevada. At one point, the largest gaming operation in the U.S. Lots of properties here in Las Vegas. If you've ever been to Las Vegas or you live in Las Vegas, you've seen my work. I made sure that we produced all the things that were marketing related. So from the smallest sticker that goes on a roll of toilet paper to let you know that someone looked at that, to the biggest billboard in Nevada, which is, I think it's in Jean, actually.
Oh, is that right?
200, yeah, it's 200 feet. It's 200 feet wide. And it was a shark reef ad for a very long time. And until now it's not. Was that for Mandalay Bay or? Yeah, it was for Mandalay Bay. Oh, and fun fact about that billboard, that's a stock photo, not an actual shark that's in Mandalay Bay, but it's cheaper to do that.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I would imagine there was some kind of conversation around that. Like, should we send a photographer down? No, let's use the stock picture of a shark. Was it something like that, or?
I can tell you that 100% of the times when that's the discussion, it's never get a photographer. It's always buy a stock photo, no matter what it is. Always a stock photo.
Yeah, I can believe that. Yeah.
And for some of them, for some specific items, there's so few that you can see every casino in town and out of town uses the same few shots for different things, like, wine being poured into a glass. That's a pro tip for anybody. If you want to make millions of dollars in stock photo royalties, take some pictures of wine pouring into a glass and probably spa pictures. There's like a girl with some rocks on her back. Every casino's used that one, the same one. Yep, it's the same one. There's only a few, and So there you go. There's That's my free tip. Go take some pictures of that and make some money.
See, the SYN Shop live stream providing value to our community.
Right. But whenever that discussion would come up, like, should we get a photographer? No, absolutely not. And even though we have a tank full of sharks and we have 1 million photographers in Las Vegas, it's actually cheaper to just buy it.
Okay, all right. I definitely want to get into the stock photographer thing here in just a little bit, but just to give people a little bit more context around what it is that you did. So you mentioned like toilet paper stickers, like down to that level. Yeah. So anything with a logo needs to be looked at by somebody to make sure it's on brand. And by on brand, I mean that, like, I'll give you an example. So the toilet paper sticker it's a real thing. Mm-hmm. And it used to be in every room, but through many budget cuts, now mostly they've gone away, and they probably only live at Bellagio now, only the high-end resorts. Mm-hmm. But when you see a roll and they'll fold it into a little triangle, point, and then they'll put a sticker on it to keep it shut. And so that shows somebody's been in this room and we did this one special thing to your toilet paper, and it has a little B logo on it. Mm-hmm. And it's either, in the good old days, it was a foil B, like a silver foil stamped on there, a little super fancy. Then as time went on, maybe it became an embossed B. And then probably now is, if there's even a sticker now, it's probably Sharpie. Just black ink. Yeah, no, Sharpie's too expensive. That's hand labor. We don't want that. Oh, okay. All right.
Gotta be printed. Yeah. Or it might be a blank sticker too. Sometimes we get to that point where it's like something gets debranded to the point where it's just blank sticker. But yeah, so that's the sort of thing that I used to do. So think of anything that's in a room. Again, from years of doing this, we used to have way more stuff. And if you stayed in Las Vegas, say 10 years ago, your room probably had 50 pieces of marketing in there that I did every single part.
Oh, wow.
And it consumed my life, like constantly. And we all knew what everybody else was using, and every hotel used something different. Today, there's probably very little in your room at all. Like the remote is probably all you got that you can physically touch or hopefully take. That's the other thing. If you take it with you, that's what we wanted. Take it.
Well, not the remote. You want people to leave the remote.
The remote's filthy. If you take it, please, for your own health, throw it away. But you want people to take something with them, and all that stuff was branded, so it was always great. Now it's a lot less stuff, but it used to be all kinds of things. So the last big true rebrand that we did on the Strip was probably Delano at Mandalay Bay. Mm-hmm. And they have a very specific color blue that they use. And we had all their collateral had to be in this matching color blue. And we had, notepads, envelopes, pencils. Mm-hmm. The pencils had to be blue, the outside. But then we had pens. The pens, they wanted them. They said, can we get them to write in blue, in the same blue that all the collateral is in?
Wow.
And that's one of those things where, I make a phone call to my pen guy and I go, hey, can you make me a pen with this? And they go, no. So then you call 30 pen guys and then you get one that says, I can get it close.
Yeah.
And I go, close will do. Yeah, fine. I'm like, I'm not gonna tell my boss that it's close, but we're gonna get it done.
He's got dead on.
Yep. So it's one of those things that, and then you order a million pencils for the rooms, and then they'll ask you a question like, do you want those sharpened? And I'm like, yeah, send them to me sharpened, please.
Oh, God.
No, because then if I get them unsharpened, then now you have a team of housekeepers sharpening pencils before they go into rooms. So, and then you're like, oh, can I get the eraser blue? And they're like, no, that we can't do. Like, we can get it white or red, but blue, not enough time. Because that's the other thing. Time, always our constraint. And then all the bathroom products, we used to do all of that custom made. Now that's all kind of standard across the company, same, everybody gets the same thing. Mm-hmm. But all this stuff used to be super customized.
I would assume that back in the day that they did that to differentiate hotels from each other and to give the guests a certain kind of like, you're staying at this place, so it's awesome because they've got the custom blah, blah, blah. So now with that gone, I mean, I guess it's impossible to tell one way or the other because, the world kind of exploded. So like, is it kind of a delayed response? Like it's going to be this way for a while and then people will come back and then one place will be like, oh, we have monogrammed whatevers now. Monogram pillowcases or whatever.
Well, what's gonna happen, or what's already sort of happened, is that your super high end will always be nice. Right?
Yeah. Right.
And by super high end, and I hate when I say this, but no one that you know, or anyone that other people that you know, are in this level of rich, right? Mm-hmm. Like this is so far removed from anyone that you could possibly know. Mm-hmm. That it's an impossible, dream to be this rich. Those people will always be taken care of. Mm-hmm. And for those people, we do, like, for example, we do monogram sheets for them. Yeah. They're coming in. Their sheets are monogrammed in whatever language preference too. So like, if you're a Chinese billionaire, your name is in Chinese on those sheets every time you show up.
Wow.
And, back then, I don't know who provides them now, but at one point, all the amenities, like at Bellagio Villas, were all done by Hermes. Who knew Hermes made soap and sold it? Well, we were buying it, and it was definitely in those rooms. But then if you went to a Bellagio suite, you would get soap that literally said soap.
No, that is interesting because you hear about it, you hear about Vegas. I feel like once this whole thing like starts to calm down, I don't know if we're going back to 100% normal. Once things go back to normal, you don't think that they'll come back?
Because we were getting rid of that way before that.
That's a good point.
Dang. Yeah, years way before that, and and in fact, it was there was a competition internally. Anything that you could come up with that would save money, sort of thing. And I'll tell you one of those things that we were part of, a key packet. So when you check in, you're given a thing that holds your key, right?
Sure.
We standardized those across the company, made a ton of money, saved a ton of money doing that. And somebody in our office got an award for it and some cash. And here's another great one that, so for alleged environmental reasons, we got rid of straws altogether.
Yeah.
That's $1 million a year savings to not have straws of any kind. And then you still have some that are warehoused. And then what you do is you keep those for when somebody says, hey, can I get a straw? And then you give them the old one that you had sitting in the warehouse. But that's $1 million a year. So that's the sort of thing. And then, so if you could save some money and we could spin it in a positive way, that's like the ultimate win. So that's the sort of thing we used to do. And, there's lots of stuff that, tons of stuff like that went on like that.
I mean, it's one of those things that you always know in the back of your knower, but you don't know it until you're a part of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, there were tons of initiatives like this throughout the company. I mean, the standard, like if you like your free drink at a casino, right? You go to the casino, you want a drink of something.
Yeah.
Places like Caesars, they said, well, if you want top shelf, we're going to charge you $2 for your free drink. So you're like, oh man, that sucks. But okay, give me the whatever crappy stuff you got. At MGM, they said, what if instead of pouring 1 ounce of booze, we give everybody 7/8 of an ounce?
Really?
And then multiply that times all the millions of drinks you serve a year times the, and then savings, yeah.
With all the, hey, let's save a bunch of money, stuff going around. How in the world do you, do they come up with the money for things like this? Because this is not cheap printing here.
No, not at all. But the way that this comes about is these are going to a very small targeted group. So Las Vegas, probably 20 years ago, I'd say, you would send out mass mailers that went to millions of people.
Okay.
That very quickly went to hundreds of thousands of people, and eventually to, a mailer like this probably goes to 10,000 people tops.
Wow.
And you expect maybe 1,000 of those people to show up, if that. Maybe less. Sometimes we do a lot less. So yeah, some of these very fancy invites, that's what ends up happening. It's going to a small group of people, and we've also shifted all that marketing money goes to the very top, right? It goes that top tier player.
In the chat, Pajama Lounge is asking, when is the new location opening? Soon. We are currently in the process of rebuilding, rehabilitation, and it is not up yet. We're thinking somewhere in the April, August, the other way, June, July-ish. But join our Discord, synshop.org/Discord, and you can find out all that and much, much more. So I guess getting back to the project thing then, with all this focus on, making money for the casino and all that, how does it get handed down? Like, is it like a push-pull sort of thing where like an account rep comes to you and is like, I want dancing robots. And then you call someone and they say, well, the robots will have to stand still. And then at some point you settle on walking robots. How does that work?
I got a lot of good stories about stuff like that.
Okay.
So one of those, like the one that's on the screen right now, Year of the Dog, that's a blue felt thing.
Wow.
That holds that invitation. And it's also made to the exact same size as a tablet, like an iPad mini sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which was originally going to be in there at one point until they realized these things cost money, and you're not, and you're not giving a millionaire like the knockoff, no brand, $100 tablet either. Like, we can't do that. We got to give them something nice. So then we say, well, just give them something where they can put their own stuff in it.
If you're producing this felt, tablet case essentially, who do you contact for that? Like, hey, I need a custom tablet case. And when I say custom, I mean from the ground up. Like,
so we go to China. And the reason we get these done in China is because they're going to do this in super cheap, right? So the little holder that you see there, that was made in China. And all the other stuff is printed here in Las Vegas. So the box is printed here in Las Vegas. The guts that go inside that little the invitation are made here in Las Vegas, but everything else is made in China. So to give you an idea of what the price difference is. So for me to do them in China, I mean, the fanciest of fancy materials, right? The stuff is fabric. It's beautiful. It's bright red. Everything on it is foil, all kinds of color foils, custom made for different for every property, right? So Bellagio has a Bellagio envelope. Everybody's got one. The CEO gets an envelope with his name on it,
Well, sure.
Mr. So-and-so, right? So all these custom made, crazy expensive, 22 cents an envelope.
Dang.
You think well, is that expensive? Is that a lot? To do that in the United States, equal quantities, it's $6 an envelope. When you show anybody in the company that, they go like, all right, so when does the guy in China need the money, right? Like they go like, how fast can we get him done? And then that's when the shenanigans come in. So what we do to negotiate a slightly better price is we own a company called MGM China, which is based out of Macau. So our sourcing person in Macau cuts the check. So it's bought over there. It helps increase our spend on their end. So it looks like we're spending more money, makes everybody happier. And and then we are able to bring the stuff in. But yeah, the price difference is huge. So a lot of this custom made stuff gets done in China. That felt thing took months to do, probably 6 months to put together. And I hate to say it, it's not one of my favorites. I thought it was a weird color, but that's one of those things that happens because you go push and pull and you go back and forth, and you end up with that. And there's a lot of compromise and a lot of just millions of just emails and meetings and going back and forth with, we have to put a company logo somewhere. You have to put, certain things have to be there for gaming purposes. You have to have disclaimers. You have to have, all these things for Nevada gaming regulations. So there's a lot of people you got to make happy. So it's like the legal team's got to be happy. The creative team's the creative teams always last. So forget creative.
Well, so I was going to ask about that. Like who typically leads something like this?
So, for the entire time that I was at MGM, we had one person leading Chinese New Year. And she was of Chinese descent, and she would lead the creative side of it. And we would always bring our top 3 or 4 designers into it, and we would create 3 separate concepts. And we were also very fortunate to have a designer that worked with us that was from Hong Kong, and he just, he knew it all, right? He lived the culture. He grew up there. So he would tell us sometimes like, hey, look, like you don't want to do this, you want to do that. So he would chime in, but it's one of those great projects that you want to get picked because you're going to have unlimited budget, but you also don't want to get picked because it's a year-long commitment of making things for Chinese New Year.
Wow.
And once it's done, though, it's great because like your work will be plastered all over the city, right? Like we'll make a million things, but but the creative side, we're definitely the last people. Like our opinions at the very bottom. International marketing is most important, followed by legal, accounting, then the account team, and then last creative. Then creative does whatever And we get lots of funny feedback, though. The feedback we get is great because sometimes it'll be like, you're the monkey. So like you want a nice monkey that's not too threatening.
You want a nice monkey, eh?
A nice monkey, right? And the monkey's got to be holding a peach. So like you start looking for artwork and every monkey you find has a banana in his hand. You're like,
because why would a monkey be holding a peach?
A Chinese New Year monkey has a peach. So, so it becomes one of those things, right? Like,
now you know.
or year of the snake, right? Like we want an impressive snake that doesn't look scary, and it's like guys, like that's a tough ask.
I'm sorry, but this snake just isn't impressing me. I don't know.
Yeah. And sometimes we want things to be cute, but not too cute either.
Right.
I think that one of the best ones we did was year of the pig. I think was one of the last ones I did, and that thing was adorable. The pig looked great, and but it was one of those things where it was designed by a million people sending tons of feedback, going, "Do this, do that, move this way, move this that way, make him look happier, make him look angrier, make him look this, make him look sleepy, but not too sleepy." So lots of feedback like that, and it's just rounds and rounds of that.
Table. I don't know. I need to see more snakes. I haven't found these
more snakes.
Yeah.
Oh, and one of the designs was a snake and an S. So year of the snake, and the S is the snake.
Absolutely. You got
to sure. And then they always go, "That's terrible. Who came up with it?" The other part is some of the criticism we get is bad, right? Like we'll spend 3 months working on a logo. We show it to them, and they go, "These are all terrible. Like who made this? This is bad. Yeah, send us more snakes."
More snakes. Okay. It sounded like that incident with the pig was one of the few times that I've ever heard of where design by committee actually worked.
That time it did. There are times where it doesn't, but or times where it just doesn't lend itself, right? Because the other thing too is that you have some that are tough. Like Year of the Dog is 3 letters. And you think like, well, how is this tough? It's tough because 3 letters looks very squarish.
Yes.
And this needs to work in a portrait orientation or a landscape. So we usually make a portrait logo and a landscape logo. But when you have just dog and it's just 3 letters and it's just very boxy, and then you can also have it in Chinese next to it, and it's usually going to be 1 or 2 characters. So it just doesn't help it either. It just looks very boxy, and there's no easy way to make that work. And then we start arguing over what breed of dog we want, right? Like not too aggressive, too big, not too small. And then we go down that whole rabbit hole. But yeah.
Well, for that, you're going to want a rat terrier, I think.
Yes. And I don't know what we picked. I think we might have picked something that looked beagle-ish.
Oh, well, like that. You can't go wrong.
But then there's some other easy ones, like Year of the Rat. That's great. Making a cute rat, easy, piece of cake.
Yeah, can be done.
But so it's tough. Yeah, and sometimes design by committee works, but most of the time it doesn't. And a lot of the times you also end up with like Super Bowl. How many football invites can you make? And,
I'll bet you can make a lot more than I can.
To give you an idea, in Las Vegas, we had 13 properties, and you had to do 3 concepts for every property. So, and they were all different. So in a couple of years, you've seen everything you can do that looks like a football.
Do you ever have things like, are there any tropes like the new guy always does? Like, all right, kid, you want to do your first football thing? All right, here you go. And he inevitably comes back with a football as one of the O's or something?
Always. There's a few things we always do and the new guy always gets, right? Golf invite. All the possible golf invites have been made. All of them.
Yes.
Football, same thing. And then for that matter, every single slot tournament / table games tournament, we've done all the things. All the things have been done. So like you just have to find something old and kind of rethink it or put a new spin to it. It's tough. It's really tough. And then it's even tougher when you have people, so they'll design something and they'll come to me and they'll be like, "Joe, how much is this going to cost to make? Am I going to be in budget?" And that's where I have to crush dreams and tell them like, "You can't afford any of this." Or look at this invite that looks exactly like what you made that we made last year and the year before that. But yeah, so we have lots of projects like that, and sometimes it's tough, and sometimes you have to sometimes we get crazy ideas, and we really try to make them come true. So one year for a casino, an MGM property, they shall remain nameless. They wanted to do a promotion where they put a giant block of ice in front of their property with a bunch of chips frozen in it. And as it melts away...
Hold on. They know we're in the desert, right?
Oh, in the middle of summer. That's the whole point.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Because they want it to melt quickly. So they want this to melt quickly. Yeah. So, so they go, Joe, find us a guy that can get a giant block of ice, and we're going to put a bunch of chips in it, and it's going to melt away. So, and then you're going to take these chips into the casino. So first thing I do is I call our casino guys. I go, can I have chips that people can just get?
They were like, not only no.
The answer is no, absolutely not. You cannot have a playable chip. I'm like, a kid can get it. Like, no, gaming commission will kill it. So we go, okay. So I go back like, haha, I can't do it. And they go, oh, we'll make chips that are good for something else, like a free drink. And we're like, crap, okay, I'm going to have to find an ice guy. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things you literally grab, the internet and go like Las Vegas ice, and find a guy that makes ice. And then you finally find a guy that goes like, yeah, I can make you this thing that you want. Mm-hmm. And you're like, perfect. So then they go, whatever place you're putting it in needs to be absolutely perfectly flat. If there's any slope in any direction, the ice will melt and move in that direction.
Oh,
so right. I'm like, oh, crap. Okay. And they're like, and it needs to be in the shade. And I go, no, the whole point is for it to melt. And the guy goes, well, if you grab a block of ice and you put it out in the sun, the ice acts like a magnifying glass and the middle will melt before the outside does. And
wow.
Like, oh, crap. And he says, and you need to worry about if a big chunk melts, it'll slide off and kill somebody. He's like, it's thousands of pounds. And I go, wow. Oh, crap, okay. And they wanted this thing to be huge. They wanted it to be like 10 feet by 10 feet. And the guy's like, yeah, it'll be done in pieces, and then a block could just slide off, and, you're going to kill somebody. And we're like, okay, we'll make it smaller. So that became a 5 by 5 piece. And then the guy's like, look, that's going to take several days to melt. I go, in this heat? And he goes, yeah, and it's going to melt, same thing from the inside out. So we go through this whole thing with them back and forth. And how much is this going to cost? And it was like $7,000 a day worth of ice. And we're going to do this all summer. We're going to do 2 months of a block of ice melting away to give away some free drinks.
Oh, wow.
And that was months of planning. And then property said, we want something cheaper. And they went to an ad agency. And the ad agency, their idea was, we like your block of ice idea. But what we're going to do is we're going to have a tree with a bunch of chips on it, and we're going to burn the tree. We're going to set the tree on fire. And then the chips will rain. And we're like, what? And they almost did this, because then they realized that chips, most people don't know this, casino chips are made of clay. So they're not flammable. They're not going to, they will not catch on fire.
I did not know that.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. So real casino chips are made of clay. And they'll hold up to pretty much anything, really. So they were like, oh, they're clay chips that won't burn, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, you're going to set a tree on fire every day on Las Vegas Boulevard. It's like, and it's going to rain stuff that people want to grab? Like, this is a terrible idea. So that's one of those where we are like, but it came from the idea came from an agency, which always... Oh, no. That always means, that we paid for that idea. So that idea is way more valuable than our idea. So you have to try to do it. And it became one of those things where luckily our legal department said, like, this is stupid. You're going to hurt somebody. No.
Yes.
But it was months of this. Like, it was 3 months of planning for it. And then finally it became a sticker on a door that said hot days of summer or something like that. So and you're like, oh, okay.
Did it have like a picture of a burning tree? Was any of that used at all? No.
Nothing remotely similar. No free drinks, no free anything. It was just like...
No ice sculpture. Like maybe just like a...
cheesy logo with some cheesy dollars on it. And it was like, a sticker on a door. And that's how things go, though. Like, you start with this grand, ridiculous idea, and then it becomes like, meh.
Well, speaking of grand, ridiculous ideas... we are going to be closing out the main show here in just a little bit. We're going to go on to the post game, but I wanted to make a quick announcement. Oh, by the way, Joe, thank you so much for joining us for the main show. You're sticking around for the post game, right?
Absolutely.
Outstanding. Okay, so for the people on YouTube, I hate to tell you this, but this is where we part ways. What you see here is just going to be like a little tasty taste of the show. You get probably half hour, 45 minutes of the show. But join us every Friday night on Twitch, TV/SYN Shop, and you can see the whole entire shebang and watch me completely blow my live read at least 3 times in a row. It was a horror show. But at any rate, you'll be safe from that. But you know what you won't be safe from? I've just confirmed on next week's show, it's robot fighting time. We are going to have the whole damn crew from Jackpot, one of the teams from BattleBots this last season. They're from Las Vegas. Their robot is awesome. It is. I have been looking forward to this for the past month. I've been like giddy about it. I love BattleBots. I love robot fighting in general. And just the fact that we have someone in town that did it, and they did it well. Like they took out some old school, like Don Hudson, who's been fighting robots for 20 years. They slapped him around something awful. Like it was amazing. Like I cannot wait to see to talk to these guys and find out some questions that have just been bugging the heck out of me. But anyway, they are coming up next Friday. Be here. It is going to be a hell of a show. The whole damn team. It's going to be great. Cannot wait. So make sure you catch that on Monday night. This coming Monday night, we're going to have our project night. Now, hopefully, if you have been watching this tonight, right down there in the chat somewhere, you've got the little button to help you earn channel points. Those are used on the Monday show to allow you to switch the cameras between projects. I believe we got Tidance is going to be on. I'm going to be on. I got my panels back for some of the projects that we've been working on, so I'll be actually finishing projects. Maybe. We'll see. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come right back. Joe, thanks for joining us on the main show. Can't wait to keep the party going on the post game. I am, of course, the Mighty Pong, and my guest again is tonight has been Joe, and we will see you on the other side of the break about 5-ish minutes.